Before we dive into the latest ESPN NFL mock draft from Field Yates, if you want even more NFL news, rumors, updates, coverage, even some college football coverage, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button if you're not already subscribed to us here on Chat Sports. We begin at number 1 with the ESPN NFL mock draft. Arch Manning is the first pick, the Texas quarterback. I don't know if he's actually going to turn pro. I have some doubts on that front. If he turns pro, it's because he did everything he wanted to do at Texas. Probably maybe a Heisman, probably an Natty, and then he becomes the wrong pick because he is the guy that we think he's going to be. So I'm fine putting him in mock drafts for now. We just do want to acknowledge that potential scenario. The Browns, obviously a potential team in the market for a quarterback. Giants at 2, trade the pick. Now, I will give Field a little bit of grief here. Give me the pick details. Don't just say extra premium picks in a swap down from 2 to number 4. The Jets jump up and kind of start a quarterback run. LaNorris Sellers out of South Carolina here. Hey, and you probably wouldn't have to drastically change your offense from what you're going to want to do with Justin Fields with what you can do with LaNorris Sellers. Upside is immense. The consistency, the reliability isn't fully there yet. I want to see growth, or else I feel like we're closer to Anthony Richardson than we are like, Josh Allen or Cam Newton. Another trade at number 3. Tennessee moves down from number 5 to number 3. No details mentioned, unfortunately, in the trade package, which I always like it when mock drafters do that. The Saints jump up for Cade Klubnik, who ESPN in general, their draft people seem to be very high on Cade Klubnik, which I get. This would be the first quarterback taken in round 1 by the Saints since 1971. Klubnik's size isn't overwhelming, but he's a good athlete. He's gotten better each and every single year. And if you're drafting the top 5 or in the top 3 for all these teams, it's a good chance that those quarterbacks you invested in, not elite investment in, day 2 picks, etc., signings in free agency, probably didn't pan out quite the way you wanted them to. So 3 straight quarterbacks. There will not be a quarterback at number 4, by the way. Who is your early quarterback 1 for the 2026 NFL Draft? You can include Arch if you want to. Let me know at the pinned comment of today's show. Number 4, Peter Woods out of Clemson. I don't know if the Giants need this. This is another investment on a already really good defensive line, but my God, Burns, Carter, Lawrence, see about Thibodeau long term. Plus Woods is electric. I think you can also argue Woods is the best pure player in this class. The other guy you'd probably argue that for is Ohio State safety Caleb Downs. Safeties don't go early very often. I do think Downs is a really good football player. I would almost maybe rather invest in a wide receiver, but the receiving class isn't that good this year. So BPA is the pick here from Field for Tennessee. Carolina at 6, Keldric Faulk, the edge out of Auburn. I don't think he's actually as big as his listed 6'6", 288, but he is big. They obviously drafted Nick Scorton, Princely Uman-Mielen. Adding Faulk as one of the better front 4 players, better players in this class with immense upside, does fit for Carolina. The Raiders adding a tackle makes so much sense. Spencer Fano's played both left tackle and right tackle, so he'd probably slot in on the right side of the offensive line. I feel like a lot of the mock drafts for the Raiders, until we get to, maybe March or something, is going to be insert my favorite tackle here at number 7. Number 8, TJ Parker, the edge from Clemson to the Patriots. I do prefer Peter Woods, but Parker is also really good. And I think adding a long-term edge rusher piece is probably a good idea for Mike Vrabel's squad. Sam Levitt at number 9 here out of Arizona State. I will say, whoever the Rams eventually draft at quarterback, I am going to have faith in because it's Sean McVay, and he's done a really good job there. Levitt, for me, is a bit of a run-around, make-play guy, which I love. It's so much fun to watch in college football. He's one of my favorite college QBs. It gives me pause, though, in the NFL because it's harder to actually win that way. But I think step forward is very possible alongside wide receiver Jordan Tyson. I am excited to see him. I wouldn't be shocked if the Rams, with 2 first-round picks, are in position to take a quarterback this season. Anthony Hill out of Texas. I think the downside is you end up getting like a Kenneth Murray type here, but I do think the athletic ability is really intriguing. I have seen some splash plays as well from Hill. Not everyone is as high in him, and I understand that too. I do think if Mike McDonald says, I want this guy as my linebacker, it'll probably end up working out pretty well for Seattle. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. College football is underway. We're close to the regular season as well, so don't miss any of the action this year on Prize Picks. It is simple to play. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get those picks right, you could cash in and up to 2,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Keep an eye out for their max discount. For example, week 1 of the season, Dak Prescott, it's a half passing yard. There's no reason to not put it in every single one of your lineups. Here's one of my power plays. Dak Prescott, more than a half passing yard. Xavier Worthy, more than 3.5 yards on the ground. Ashton Genty, more than a half touchdown as well. So just the one. If you haven't already, go download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play that first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go to the Colts at number 11. We know the Daniel Jones era isn't going to work, right? We all know that. Sorry, Colts fans, but deep down, you know it too. Drew Aller, the pick here at number 11. I need to see more consistency. For me, Aller should either be he should be one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks taken, or at that point in his career, you shouldn't be considering him in the top 20, top 25. He should go later. So I am extremely curious to see how things play out moving forward. The Browns, they take a quarterback at 1, get a new offensive tackle. Austin Barber, this pick via the Jags Travis Hunter trade. By the way, that Rams pick was via the James Pierce Falcons trade. Barber, I think, is a very good offensive tackle. I'm a little surprised he was the 12th one in the mock draft, but that's fine. There's other guys we'll get to here as well. 13, the Cowboys. And you can, if you're mad at the order, by the way, it's based on ESPN's FPI. So blame them, not me. Caleb Banks. I think DT's a need. He's 6'6", 330. As the founder of Fatty's Only up front, I do think adding Caleb Banks makes a lot of sense. I think he would have been a top 75 pick at minimum had he turned pro. Excited to see him this year. A lot of tackles are going to be in the argument for the number 1 guy taken, and I think Francis Mauigoa is one of them. He's played right tackle his first 2 years at Miami, or with Miami, I should say. I think could be an option long-term, replace Jonah Williams. I don't hate it, actually, for Arizona. They went very heavy on defense last offseason anyway. A.J. Terrell's younger brother, Avion Terrell, number 15 here to the Miami Dolphins. We'll get to Jermon McCoy later on. I want to see a little bit more just a little bit more sheer confidence out of him. I actually don't know if that's always there. Field thinks it is. I'm not sure I agree. I think he's got good instincts. I want him to be better than what he is so far. I think there's an untapped level that would make him maybe even the top 10 pick. But everyone's going to mock a corner to the Dolphins at wherever they're picking. And they're right. Another quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier, the Nuss Bus, at number 16 here, which would also be the Saints and his dad pass on him because he's the OC. Doug Nussmeier is the Saints OC. Pittsburgh taking a QB wouldn't be a huge surprise. My concern with Nussmeier is that he has to maximize what he has to be a good starter. He doesn't have that overwhelming physical skill set, but if he maxes out his consistency, there is some Tony Romo stuff to his game. How many QBs go in round 1 of the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show how many QBs go in round 1 of the NFL Draft. Jermon McCoy is coming off a torn ACL suffered in January. I think he's the best corner even with the injury. I don't actually know if Chicago is going to view corner as the same overwhelming need. We'll see how they feel about Tyreek Stevenson, etc. But I do think that it's a value pick here for Chicago. Anto Saka's fun. He also looks like he's in a Vikings jersey because he plays for Northwestern. The traits are there for Saka. I don't see edge as a need, though, for Minnesota. Grenard, Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner. I would kind of almost outright question if it makes sense for the Vikings to spend a first-round pick at edge when they could invest it in, the cornerback room. What if we just flipped Saka and McCoy? Maybe that makes more sense for everybody involved there. Mateo Uyunglele, DJU's younger but certainly not little brother to the Green Bay Packers. They love taking edges. I want to see him be more physical. He has the size to overwhelm offensive linemen. He hasn't really done that yet. Jordan Tyson, the first receiver off the board here out of Arizona State to the Denver Broncos. Pairing him with Cortland Sutton long-term does sound pretty fun. We'll see if Marvin Mims is going to be that gadgety guy, and Evan Ingram, long-term piece at tight end too. I like it. I like that pick for Denver. First running back off the board. No mock to the Cowboys. I actually appreciate that, Field. Jeremiah Love, the Fighting Irish, who is, I think, the consensus RB1 in this year's class, at least as of right now. Explosive, big playability. Joe Mixon battling injury. Woody Marks kind of more third down back. I'm a big fan of Love's game. It's just where does he go with the value question at the RB spot. Who is your favorite non-QB in the 2026 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Non-quarterbacks, who's your favorite guy? I think Dennis Sutton as a mid-late round one projection is reasonable. I don't think he's as good as Chop Robinson or certainly not Abdul Carter, but the athletic edge is always going to get a look when you go to Penn State. Jude Bowery, who played left tackle in the past for San Francisco, but is for Boston College, taken by San Francisco here. He's also played some right tackle. At some point, the Niners will invest heavily in the offensive line, right? No? Maybe? How about it? I am a little surprised to see Caden Proctor going after Bowery in a mock draft. I don't know if this is the best fit. Like, Amarius Mims, I think, is going to be a good young piece for the Bengals. They do have Orlando Brown under contract for a year. I would have almost rather taken someone who could play tackle or guard. I don't know if Proctor really fits that well at guard. But he could be closer to 4 than pick 24 if he can shed some of the similar issues that Evan Neal has run into in his time in the NFL. Not that different. The Commanders, Jeremy Bernard. I like Bernard. He's a good player. I'm a little surprised to see him be the second wide receiver taken. Washington transfer from a year ago, played for Bama last year, but Ryan Williams is the number one receiver for the Crimson Tide. We'll see how Ty Simpson fares. Receiver for the Commanders, yes. Bernard, not so sure. Chandler Rivers out of Duke. He might be a nickel. He's played both, but he's like 5'10", 185. Nickel could actually maybe be a concern there for LA. Tarheeb Still, Cam Hart are actually pretty good as young guys. I don't hate it. I just wonder if that's the right corner. Dalen Everett, the corner out of Georgia. The Rams need cornerback help. I think we all know that one there. Curious how he tests. I'm a little bit curious about that. The corner run continues, which think of maybe more household name, maybe. A.J. Harris out of Penn State. Like his game quite a bit. Alexander, Awuzie, both free agents, and Marlon Humphrey's getting up there in age. So corner, don't mind being a bit of a focus point there for the Baltimore Ravens. I do like Sonny Styles a lot. I think he could be a surprise round one pick. I like him being in. I don't think he's a really consensusly mocked round one guy right now. I don't know if another first-round linebacker to pair with Jack Campbell is needed for Detroit, but, I think Styles would fit very well with Dan Campbell. Isaiah World, who is a high upside pick, the Nevada transfer going to Oregon this year. Jawan Taylor, Jalen Moore, maybe they move on from those guys because Josh Simmons is going to be one of them. You play him at right tackle. I don't hate that idea, especially if he falls and you think you can develop him and maximize him if you're out pretty much already on Kingsley Sumatai as a tackle. Blake Miller, the very experienced offensive tackle out of Clemson. Clemson's got a lot of experienced guys back this year, by the way. Do keep that one in mind. Maybe you do invest in the Lane Johnson development piece. Eagles love those premium position guys in round one. Finally, Jacoby Lane, the wide receiver out of USC. I think trying to get a number one makes sense for the Bills. I don't know if he can get the number one, though, at 32 overall. I think that's a little tricky, although I'm excited about Keon Coleman moving forward. Who did Field Yates leave out of his 2026 NFL mock draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Then I'll mention some guys to keep an eye out for as well. All right, Fernando Mendoza is next up here, the quarterback out of Indiana. I want to mention him. People like him. Could be a round one guy. Carnell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State. The other one, always a first-round pick, it feels like. I think Max Clare's the best tight end. Apologies to Kenyon Sadiq. Caleb Lomu, the other Utah tackle, is also really good. I know Dane Brugger loves Xavier Chaplin and DJ McKinney. LT Overton, Christian Miller, Ruben Bain are front four players that I think could easily go in round one if they play the way I think they can. And then CJ Allen has a chance to be the first linebacker taken out of Georgia as well.